Bangladesh is one of the world's poorest and densely populated countries in the world. Prostitution is rampant, and where there is sex work, there are babies. Many brothels in Bangladesh are set up as little cities, separate from the rest of society. Sex workers' children grow up calling the brothel home. Women are often trafficked into the cities or sold by their families out of desperation. Once in the brothel cities, it's unlikely that they or their babies and toddlers will ever have the chance to escape this hell. Babies and toddlers growing up in this environment are vulnerable to so many atrocities. Sexually abused and exploited, they grow up believing that this life is normal.
Thank you so much for watching, and I'm really excited to spend some time with you today. I heard a story recently that I just can't get it out of my heart, and it really impacted me in a very significant and in some respects traumatic way. I was in Bangladesh recently, and Bangladesh is really one of the poorest countries in the whole world. And I was visiting the capital city called Dhaka. And as I was there, it was an interesting place. I love the people, they're very nice people, but I went to meet with these women, and I had found a group of prostitutes, floating sex workers in Dhaka. And as I was meeting with them, you know, I remember coming up to them, and I felt a little awkward, a little uncomfortable, uneasy, like, you know, I don't know. And they were nice, but they were also a little bit hesitant with me as well, because first you have the language barrier. But this lady really had an impact on me, because when I first started, I walked up and greeted them, and we had a translator there, and she opens up her hand, and she shows me this wadded up thing of twine. And I said, well, what's with the twine? And she started to tell the translator. And this is, when I heard this, I just pretty much almost became unglued, because what I heard was she takes this twine and she ties it to the ankle of her son while she works, so that she doesn't lose him. So she works in the nighttime, and so she has no place for her son to go for any kind of care, safety, any kind of security. So she ties it around his ankle or around his wrist, and while she's working, sometimes she ties it to herself or ties it to the bed that she's working on, so she doesn't lose her son. And when she's telling me this story, she's looking at me, looking eye to eye at me, and I can't believe it. I never heard anything like this in my entire life. And then another lady chimed in, and she said, yeah, you know, and all translating, I lost a baby. And in my mind, I'm thinking, you know, he had a miscarriage. She said, no. I was working, and I thought I put my little girl in a safe place, but when I came back to find her, she was missing. She disappeared. I said, well, how old? And she said she was about 18 months. And I was just, I don't even know how to tell you. I was completely unraveled. And as you watch this today, you know, it looks dark in here. And the reason why it looks dark is because I want to ask you to help me light the night. Because these women, they don't like their profession, and if they could do something different, they would. But they work at nighttime, and I want to ask you to help me light the night for these babies and toddlers. Babies and toddlers that disappear, that go missing, that moms have to tie to themselves as they work. We got to make a difference on that. We can't let that be just kind of the common daily experience. I want to ask you to help me to light the night, that we can absolutely bring light, hope, and life, and make a difference in daily living for babies and toddlers.
We've been to this neighborhood, and I see, oh my goodness, see horrible conditions. I see all kinds of abuse, I see all kinds of neglect, but I also see all kinds of opportunity. And this little girl, she doesn't have night care right now. And so at nighttime, her world looks pretty, not just dark, it looks very grim and not just a little bit scary and frightening. So thinking about some of the risks that she's exposed to, she's at risk of neighbors potentially molesting her. She's at risk just of physical injury. She's at risk with the lack of supervision. When her mom is working, she either goes with her mom to work or she's not supervised. So she runs without like any protection. So, you know, we've seen this neighborhood and we see the horrible things that happen here. And we want to make a difference. Would you help us make a difference? Would you help us provide night care for this neighborhood? Because it's super powerful what this does to interrupt and provide genuine love and bring redemption in very dark, grim, and very hopeless situations. Let's make a change. Let's make a difference.
When we think about nighttime and we think about darkness, it's really interesting to me because here's the thing. In John 1, verse 5, it says, the light overcame the darkness. And I love that light always, no matter what, light always overcomes darkness. I was putting my kids to bed the other night and they had one of those glow-in-the-dark thingies. And I was like, hey, you know, don't leave your phones in your room. And I'm like, no, it's just one of those glow-in-the-dark things. And it speaks to the idea that we have light inside of us and we can provide light and overcome darkness, light the night. And so when we think about these dark places around the world, dark places in brothels, dark places at nighttime, where these moms are working as sex workers, as prostitutes, and you say, well, you need to get them out of the industry. Of course, absolutely, no doubt. I'm not even remotely arguing that. But the urgency of the need is for their babies and their toddlers, because this is the place where their worldview is formed as a baby toddler, and I don't want their worldview to be full of darkness and night. I don't want their existence in the nighttime to dominate their daytime living. And so when we think about light overcoming the darkness, Jesus came into the world to be a light, to be the light. And for us as individuals who follow Jesus, we have opportunities to be that light and to provide that light where there is darkness. And you know, you can get all up in the grill and say, hey, you know, curse the darkness. They shouldn't be doing that. No doubt. But instead of cursing the darkness, I'm going to ask you to help me. Let's light a candle. Let's light the night. Let's bring light. Let's bring life. Let's bring hope. Let's bring love, genuine love. And so for these babies and toddlers, that their existence seems to be 24 hours of perpetual night, because it's just this hellacious environment, hellacious experience, hellacious way to grow up. At the nighttime, at the minimum, at the nighttime, let's light the night for them. Let's light the night for the baby or the toddler who has to be on the bed with mom as she's working. You're like, that's not possible. It is possible. It's absolutely the daily normal for some of these babies and toddlers. And we can light the night and bring a transformation. We can bring hope. We can bring love. We can bring light. And we can bring life into places that have boatloads of death, boatloads of darkness, boatloads of hopelessness, but we can provide light and life and genuine love for these babies and toddlers. So I'd ask you to consider, take a moment today, would you consider helping us? $38 a month will light the night for one baby for an entire month. We'll light the night. That, you say, what do you mean by that? We have night care, and this is where we light the night for each baby and toddler. And for us, the expenses for each baby, each toddler, is $38 for 1 month. When you think about that, it's a really small fraction, a little tiny increment of what happens in our daily living, but it means light for these babies and toddlers. So I would encourage you, take a moment and think about it. $38 for 1 month to light the night for a baby, for a toddler, to give them hope, to give them light, to give them life and love, and a different future than their current reality.
Saving Moses identifies countries. We look at a bunch of factors. We found Bangladesh, and it just really bubbled to the surface.
As soon as we landed, the need was so present. The darkness, it was palpable. We went into a few different brothels and talked to probably 30, 40 moms. When we asked moms what happens to their babies at night, and if any of them are actually at risk of being sexually abused or exploited, 9 out of 10 moms said that their babies had been abused. The women are not allowed to leave the city. They're not allowed to leave the brothel. And so the babies and toddlers grow up knowing only that. So that's their normality. That's everyday life. So after seeing that, it was like, we have to do something. We've got to be there.
Going in and meeting with mothers that are sex workers and hearing their stories, seeing just the desperation. Listening to their story, you couldn't help but just break, because just the things that have happened to them is just, you don't even want to think about. They're bringing up children and young babies in these environments.
It's very much a slavery type situation, and so within that there's basically a lifetime stigmatization towards the sex industry for any sex worker. They don't want their children to be stigmatized. They don't want them to be marked or branded as anything less than beautiful and wonderful and perfect in their children and who they are.
We have trainers that are going over there, and they're training the staff, and they're helping get them ready in child protection and teaching them how to handle children who have a trauma background. We have people from Bangladesh traveling to Cambodia, where they can see our programs in action there and see how to implement them correctly. Just because they're a sex worker, just because that's their profession, and they didn't choose that profession, that's not something that they ever want to be. I want to help them in any way that I can, and however small that is, if we can get, there's so many babies at risk, but if we can open just a few night cares to start, and just let that be a starting point to just start to get these kids out of harm's way and into a safe environment, if we can do something to just start scratching that surface, then that's what I want to do.
These babies and toddlers, when they grow up, knowing that they're worth is more than the brothel. Their worth is more than being a sex worker's child. They can then become the beacon of light in their own communities, in their own families, in their own cities. So this is an invitation for you to join us in this. We're really excited about giving you the opportunity to become a part of these babies and toddlers' stories, and their stories of hope, and their stories of life, and their stories of light, and the light in the darkness. And so join us.
I'm really excited to share with you today because when we think about lighting the night, I love this whole idea because let me give you what it looks like when a baby or toddler comes into our night care center. Talk about lighting the night. Oh my goodness, I love this because when they come in, they walk in, they come in with their moms drop them off, and usually, it's 5:30, 7 at night, somewhere in there, because the mom is getting ready to go to work and she works through the night. But these babies and toddlers, they come in, and when they come into our centers, you watch them, they come in from, kind of a rough day, grimy. Most of them are super dirty because they live in poverty that kind of was mind-blowing. I mean, seriously. And they come in and they walk in, and many of them who've been there before, they light up, literally, they light up. They walk in and smiles start to beam, they're happy. I mean, it's like this, almost somebody flips the light switch on for them. It's just amazing. So then we get to give them a bath because you want to clean off all of that stuff from the day, seriously. And then we get to feed them dinner because most of them, they haven't had a good meal. Some of them haven't even had a meal throughout the whole day. So we feed them dinner, we have circle time, play with them, and just let them be babies and toddlers and kids. Like let their hair down, play with toys, enjoy some safe place. They're not in danger, and some bad isn't going to happen. It's just a nice place they can just kind of exhale. Talk about lighting the night. And if you look at their lives and contrast what night looks like for them as opposed to night care, where we light the night for them, man, it's such a stark contrast. It's such a stark, amazing difference. And after we do some time with them and let them play and everything, we have circle time and we get to talk a little sometimes with them about Jesus and stuff. And then we put them to bed. And they get to sleep through the night in a safe place that's clean, healthy, and they wake up in the morning and they haven't had all kinds of garbage and filth and awful things happening throughout the night because they've been in a night care center. And that's where we light the night for these babies and toddlers. I was interviewing a mom recently in Bangladesh, and when I talked with her and talked to this group of moms about this whole idea of night care, they'd never heard of it before. And when I mentioned the idea, hey, would you guys be interested in night care for your babies and toddlers? Universally, they were ecstatic, enthusiastic, absolutely. And they just came out of their, unglued, came out of their skin, so excited about this possibility. One mom even said, she said, I asked, why would you want night care? And this is exactly what she said through the translator. She said, because I want my baby to grow up with a fresh mind. And I remember when I heard that, I just started, it just hit me between the eyes. My baby to grow up with a fresh mind, as opposed to being on the bed with her mom, night after night, client after client. I didn't know what to say. I was speechless, dead in my tracks, because it completely riveted me. So I want to ask you to help me light the night. How can you do that? Well, for $38 a month, you can light the night for one baby to provide night care for one baby, one toddler. Now, lots of you watching, you can give, of course, more than $38 a month. Some of you can't do that. You could do something smaller. But I want to encourage you, help me light the night. Help me provide hope and life and a fresh mind for a baby and a toddler so their future looks different than their current reality. So we met this mom recently who has 3 little babies and toddlers, and she had a choice between taking babies and toddlers with her to work at the brothel. They would see the work that she does, or leave them home
maybe unsupervised, or somebody watches them and violates them and beats them. What can she do? So Night Care provides that answer. Night Care provides that solution, a safe environment where they can sleep through the night safely and get dinner and a bath and have care.
Ngày ពេលថ្ងៃឡើងមើលកូនយប់ឡើងទៅធ្វើការទុកតែប្អូនឯ2នាក់ទៀតយកទៅផ្ញើផ្ទះម៉ែខ្ញុំកក់មានអារម្មណ៍ថាកក់ក្ដៅព្រោះកូនខ្ញុំស្រឡាញ់អ្នកគ្រូនៅកន្លែងពេលដែលដល់ម៉ោងចឹងទាទៅខ្លាចព្រោះអីមកចឹងប្រាប់រៀនអក្សរចឹងអានឲ្យស្ដាប់ចឹងឬមួយក៏និយាយអីគេអាមែនអីគេសាសនា ចង់ឃើញកូនល្អរៀនដូចគេឆ្លាតដូចគេរកស៊ីចេះដឹងហើយក៏ចង់ឲ្យកូនហ្នឹងស្គាល់ម៉ែឪចឹងខ្លាចតែធំឡើងវាភ្លើតភ្លើន
Thank you for watching today. Thank you for saying, hey, I'm interested. I have light inside of me, and I'm interested in letting that light shine. We talk about that. Let our light shine so that people can see and experience and have an encounter with genuine love. So I'm asking you today to help me. Let's partner together. Sometimes darkness can seem so overwhelming. There can seem to be so much darkness that it can almost be intimidating. You think, oh, I can't do anything. Or, Sarah, I'm not interested in going to any of those brothels and that stuff. Oh my goodness. No, I'm not asking you to come. I'm asking you to help me go. I'm asking you to help me light the night. I'm asking you to partner with me, that we can combine together, that the light that's inside of you and the light's inside, when we join that together, oh my goodness, we start to make a bright light, not just singular or insular lights here and there randomly, but we come together and we make a bright light that really brings transformation, that brings hope, that brings love, and brings a different future than the current darkness. So I'd ask you to help me. Hop on the phone. Love to have you help me. Get on the website. Love to have you help me. $38 a month. We'll provide night care for one baby for an entire month. And here's the thing. When we do that, man, and I love what Jesus says, when you do this to the least of these, you've done this to me. And in my travels around the world, I have never found anyone more least of the least than the baby of a prostitute. No identity, no background, no father. Who are they? Almost sometimes even nameless. So please, help me light the night. Some of you watching, you could help me do an entire month of night care for a whole night care center. And that's $5,000 a month would help me run a night care center for the entire month. And that provides night care for boatloads of kids, not just one, but boatloads, up to 20, 30 babies, toddlers, for night care for an entire month. So I'd ask you to hop on the phone and help me, let your light, let's join together with our lights. Let your light join my light, the light that Jesus has put in us to be the light of the world. Let's light the night and provide night care. And when we do this, family, it's an expression of genuine love. Genuine love, not only to us, but also through us. And I know your heart. I know your heart is to express genuine love. I know your heart is to be generous. So hop on the phone. Anything you can do today would be massively helpful, massively appreciated. Hardcore, because we're lighting the night. We're making a difference. We're doing this to the least of these. We're doing this to Jesus. And it's a wonderful opportunity for you to partner with me, that our lights come together and we light the night and provide tremendous hope and future today.
Bangladesh is one of the world's poorest and densely populated countries in the world. Prostitution is rampant, and where there is sex work, there are babies. Many brothels in Bangladesh are set up as little cities, separate from the rest of society. Sex workers' children grow up calling the brothel home. Women are often trafficked into the cities or sold by their families out of desperation. Once in the brothel cities, it's unlikely that they or their babies and toddlers will ever have the chance to escape this hell. Babies and toddlers growing up in this environment are vulnerable to so many atrocities. Sexually abused and exploited, they grow up believing that this life is normal.
Merry Christmas. Oh my goodness, we're so excited. It's a really great opportunity, great season. We think about, Silent Night, Holy Night. We think about Christmas and Jesus being born at night. And I want to ask you to help me light the night for my babies and toddlers in Bangladesh. We're opening night care in Bangladesh, and we're so excited about lighting the night for these babies and toddlers. Please help us today. Christmas is a wonderful time. We think in generous terms at Christmas time. So please be generous. Help me light the night for these babies and toddlers so that they can have a tremendous future filled with love, hope, and future designs that God has for them and not the plans of the enemy. So help me light the night for each and every baby and toddler with our night care centers in Bangladesh.